Heard, despite the White House laying out their reasons for denying documents and witnesses subpoenaed by House committees investigating the president. Brett Tolman is a former U.S. attorney. He says this is all justified. He joins us today from Salt Lake City. Brett, what do you mean it's justified?
Look, this is accusing someone of a crime. And in our country, when we accuse someone of a crime, we want it to be a process. Due process is important. The ability for that person who's been accused of a crime to face their accusers and to be at the table when they're interviewed so that they can prepare a defense.
But at the same time, the Constitution says the House can pretty much run the impeachment show any way they want to, right?
Well, there's no question right now, whoever's in charge of the House can set the rules. They get to do that. But history is supposed to guide us, and that history has very, very clearly indicated, whether it was Clinton or Nixon before, that the president was allowed to have his attorneys present, that the opposing party was allowed to have subpoena power and to investigate the underlying facts. And that's what this is. The House is supposed to be that agency or that body that is investigating the facts, and then they will submit that to the Senate for trial. But at this point, we don't have any of those safeguards that historically have been there.
Right, and so much of this impeachment inquiry regards what's going on with that phone call the president had with the president of Ukraine, which came from that whistleblower, that initial whistleblower who filed for protection. Now, Brett, the president wants this person, his or her identity revealed. When you file for whistleblower protection, is there a guarantee of anonymity?
There is not, and this is an important point that you raise. Whistleblowers, while they may be anonymous at the start of an action, right, at some point there's an expectation that they will be revealed because they are the key witness, and both sides get to cross-examine. They get to assess the credibility of the witness, and that's important. And historically, we have allowed presidents who are facing impeachment inquiries to have their attorneys there and to weigh in on that process.
So would you see going forward some sort of open inquiry with the whistleblower right there in a public forum answering questions?
It doesn't have to be in a public forum necessarily, but there are interviews that take place. They can be behind closed doors, but what you want is not just the appearance of fairness, but you want both sides involved in this process. Both sides have the ability to dig into the credibility and the legitimacy of the claims that are being made. Right. That's what we expect as a country. That's what we want to see when someone is accused of a crime, whether it's the president or a regular citizen.
And also, it sounds like the president called Trey Gowdy up a couple of days ago and said, hey, you used to be in the House. How about helping me out? So now Mr. Gowdy has signed on as outside counsel to help with the impeachment inquiry. Is that how do you gauge that response to what's going on?
I think it's a good decision because Trey not only is a former member of the House, but he's a former federal prosecutor. Right. And as a federal prosecutor myself, I can tell you that he had concerns when he was a prosecutor that someone he was accusing of a crime had a fair opportunity to defend themselves. We gain nothing as a country if we try to do this in secrecy, we try to do this behind closed doors, and especially if we try to do it without granting the president some ability to defend himself.
It's all about fairness, you say. All right, Brett Tolman, former U.S. Attorney for Utah. Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, meanwhile, 7:21 here in New York City, Planned Parenthood wants to